Welcome to Breezy. We're going to walk through what hiring managers need to get started. We'll cover the basics of working with positions and candidates, including getting around the Breezy app, hiring team roles, your user profile and settings, working with positions, and working with candidates. Whenever you sign into Breezy or click the home button in the left sidebar, you'll land on your dashboard. This is where you'll get a snapshot of your current work. You'll see a list of positions you're assigned to and candidates you're working with, plus upcoming meetings and outstanding tasks. On the left, you'll see a sidebar with links to all the areas of Breezy. Your options here may vary depending on whether you have admin access to your Breezy account. But as a hiring manager, there are some things you should always see. The notifications bell that lets you know if you have updates from colleagues or candidates. The settings gear, where you can access your user settings and our help center, plus other shortcuts and options. A search box, where you can do a text search for candidates or positions. Home, which takes you to your dashboard. The applicants list, where you can quickly review new candidates as they come in. Inbox, where you can find active conversations with candidates. Tasks, to see a list of outstanding tasks that have been assigned to you or that you've assigned to others. Calendar, for a look at your interview schedule. Reports, to see stats across all your positions. Positions and pools, to see a list of all positions you're assigned to. And candidates, for a list of all the candidates associated with your positions. And finally, no matter where you are in Breezy, you'll see the chat icon in the lower right corner. From here, you can send a message to our support team, pick up a conversation you've already started, and even search for answers in our help center. Okay, let's dig in. Every position you or your team create in Breezy is assigned a hiring team. These are the people that'll work together to screen candidates and make hiring decisions. On each hiring team, members have one of two roles, hiring manager or member. As a hiring manager, you can create, approve, and edit positions, and for any positions you're assigned to, you can add and edit candidate info, view candidates' entire profile and related documents, move candidates between stages, communicate with candidates and schedule interviews, view team scorecards, view position-level reports, and communicate with the rest of the hiring team. Hiring members have more limited options. They can create but not edit positions, and for positions they're assigned to, they can view limited candidate info, add notes and team discussion on candidates, and complete candidate scorecards. As a hiring manager, you'll most likely be creating and promoting positions, reviewing candidates as they come in, screening and communicating with them through their profile, and moving them through the pipeline until you've made a hire. Before you get started, take a minute to customize your user settings. Click the gear icon in the left sidebar, then User Settings. This is where you can enable integrations like email, calendar, Zoom, and Slack, plus set your default language and message signature, reset your password, enable keyboard shortcuts, and customize your Breezy notifications. As a hiring manager, you'll be notified by email of all candidate and task activity by default. If that's too much noise, or if you just prefer Slack, be sure to tailor your options here. Okay, now let's look at those positions. When you click Positions and Pools in the left sidebar, you'll see a list of all positions or candidate pools you're assigned to. You can customize the columns that are displayed by clicking the Columns drop-down at the top of the screen, and you can sort the list in ascending or descending order by clicking on a column header. To get more specific, try out the filtering options on the left. Just click the checkbox next to an option, choose criteria from the drop-down, and click Apply Filter. You can add as many options as you like, and if you'd like to save your filter view to use again, just click the little disk icon next to Apply Filter. This will save a segment, which you can find later from the Views drop-down near the top of the screen. You can create a new position from this view by clicking the Add Position button in the upper right corner, or from anywhere with the little blue plus sign next to Positions and Pools in the left sidebar. To save a few steps creating common jobs, you can also clone an existing position. Just find it on the Positions list, click the More icon next to its name, then Clone Position. You'll walk through the steps of creating a position, but with a head start on all the details. Every time you create a position, you'll need to assign a hiring team. By default, you'll be added as a hiring manager to any position you create, but you can choose someone else and even remove yourself later if you need to. You can also add members with limited access and entire teams all at once with either hiring manager or member access. Once a position has been created, you can open it from the positions list or your dashboard to find candidates, update settings, and more. In the top left corner, you'll find the basics about the job, its name, location, and status. The default view is the pipeline. We'll take a closer look at this in a minute, but basically it's your bird's eye view of the hiring stages and the candidates in each one. You can switch views by clicking the headings in the top right corner. We'll come back to the candidates view in a minute too, but it's where you can see all the candidates for the position in one list. Tasks is where you can find tasks assigned to you or that you've assigned to others that are related to this position. The inbox gives you a look at the conversations happening with candidates for the job. The Reports tab gives you stats and analytics about the position. You can get a snapshot of candidates, sources, and hires, or dig deeper into where candidates are coming from, the efficiency of your pipeline, or how your team is communicating with candidates. You can also check the status of questionnaires and view or export EEOC and disposition data. If you'd like to look at stats for all the positions you're assigned to in one place, click the Reports link in the left sidebar. And finally, the activity stream is a rundown of the hiring team's activity on the position. When candidates apply for a position or are added manually, a profile is created for them and they're added to the applied stage of the position's pipeline. They'll also appear in the applicants list on the left sidebar. A quick note about the applicants list. You can go here to find a snapshot of each new applicant's resume and application and quickly move them to another stage in the pipeline. Back on the pipeline, the other stages you see will depend on your company and position settings, but the pipeline always gives you a view of the stages as columns with a list of candidates in each stage. In most cases, though, you'll see something like applied, feedback, interview, offer, disqualified, and hired stages. If all your stages don't fit on the screen, just scroll right and left, or click the shortcut bar at the bottom to jump to a specific stage. Each candidate has a card on the pipeline, in the column for whatever stage they're at. The card shows some basic info about the candidate, like their name and profile picture, plus options for some quick actions you can take. If you're using our Incognito Apply tool on a position, you'll see limited info on the cards in your applied stage. Incognito hides certain details for new applicants to help your team avoid bias. Once you move the candidate to another stage, all their details and info will be available. You can click a candidate's card to open their profile, or click and drag to move them from one stage to another. You can also drag their card to the stage in the shortcut bar to avoid scrolling. The More menu at the top of each stage gives you options to compare candidates if that's available on your plan, plus a place to check and update stage actions. Those are the automations that are triggered when a candidate enters the stage the first time, like sending emails or questionnaires. You can also check stage actions when you create or clone a position, or by clicking the gear icon in the upper right corner and opening the Pipeline tab of the position settings. Also up there in the corner, you can star the position to keep it visible on your sidebar, or mute notifications with the little bell icon in case you don't want to get updates. To focus on the candidates for a position, the Candidates view gives you a complete list of everyone in the running. Just like the positions list, you can customize your columns and sort by clicking a column heading. Creating filters and saving segments works the same here too. You can open a candidate's profile from here, or just click the checkbox next to their name to take certain actions, like changing their pipeline stage or deleting the candidate altogether, and sending a message to the hiring team or an email to the candidate. The More dropdown gives even more options. You can send a text message to the candidate, compare candidates if it's available on your plan, send a questionnaire, tag, move, or assign candidates, and export candidate data. You can also take these actions in bulk. Just click the checkbox next to multiple candidates, or the Select All box at the top, then choose your action, like sending a mass email or tagging a whole batch of candidates. When you're ready to take a closer look at a candidate, you can open their profile from anywhere you see their name. The candidates list, the pipeline, your dashboard, even the left sidebar if you've starred their profile. The default view of the profile is divided into three main sections: candidate experience, hiring team activity, and candidate details. If you prefer a single pane view, you can switch the layout with the toggle at the top of the details section. This just moves experience and activity info to a list on the left with a viewing area in the middle. First, in the top left corner, you'll see the candidate's name and profile picture, plus their match score and candidate score if they're available. The match score comes from an add-on feature that uses AI to automatically compare candidates' resumes to your position's job description. The candidate score is the average of the overall ratings from the hiring team on their candidate scorecards. So in the default view, let's take a look at the Experience section on the left. If your admin has enabled it, you'll see a LinkedIn tab where you can access the candidate's LinkedIn profile through our integration with LinkedIn Recruiter. On the Experience tab, you'll see a summary of experience pulled from the candidate's resume, plus their answers to an application questionnaire if you included one. All members of the hiring team can see what's here, but the results of other questionnaires are only visible to hiring managers on the Questionnaires tab. The Resume tab shows the resume that the candidate or hiring team has submitted. The Documents tab is where you'll find any extra files the candidate or team has added, like cover letters or work samples, plus signature requests and offers. And Questionnaires is where to go for responses to questionnaires other than those included with your application. Most likely, you'll be sending questionnaires automatically with stage actions, but if you need to send one manually or check status, you can do that here. You can even print completed questionnaires if you need a hard copy. There's a few more options on the More menu. Team Scorecard is where you can see the results of all the hiring team's scorecard feedback. Each team member completes their own scorecard in the activity section of the profile. We'll get there in a minute, but only hiring managers can see the results here. You can also open assessments and background checks from the More menu. You can send and check results here if your admin has enabled integrations with our background or assessment partners. And finally, references. If you use a reference check response type on a questionnaire, the contact info or responses from your candidate's references will show up here. Now, in the center of the profile is where you can see activity from the hiring team. The Discussion tab shows a full history of activity on the profile, plus messages within the hiring team. You can even use @mentions to tag specific hiring team members. You can also add info on the Notes tab. Notes are public by default, so can be seen by any hiring manager under Team Notes on the Team Scorecard. But any team member can click the lock icon to make a note private, so only they can see it here under Your Notes. The Email SMS tab is where you'll see a history of messages between your team and the candidate. To create a new message, just click Compose Email or SMS. You can create a one-off message or click the Insert menu to add scheduling links, templates, e-signature documents, and questionnaires. For emails, you can add other recipients by CC or BCC in case you want to include members of your team. Recipients aren't saved with templates though, so remember to add them each time. The Meetings tab shows a list of meetings scheduled with the candidate. You can also add a manually scheduled meeting here, as well as with the little calendar button above. The Scorecard tab in this section is where each hiring team member adds their own feedback. All those individual scorecards are compiled in the Team Scorecards tab we saw earlier. That's only visible to hiring managers. And the Tasks tab is where the hiring team can create candidate-specific tasks and assign them to each other or themselves. Just click Add Task, enter a title, details, and due date, and choose who to assign the task to. All the way over on the right is the Candidate Details section. This is where you can see the candidate's basic info, how they were sourced or referred, and any tags or custom fields that have been applied. Along the top of the profile are options to assign the candidate to a specific hiring manager, schedule a meeting, move the candidate to a different stage in the pipeline, and disqualify the candidate. There's also a More menu with shortcuts to some common profile actions, plus moving a candidate to a different position, which moves all their info to the new job. Copying a candidate to an additional position, which leaves their original profile as is and just copies their resume and contact info to the other job. Deleting a candidate, sending offers, and sharing the candidate's resume and contact info with someone outside your hiring team. You can also print a simplified version of the resume and contact info, set a reminder for yourself to follow up on the candidate in the future. You can add a candidate to your HRIS if you have an integration enabled, request GDPR consent or send the candidate their data if the feature is enabled, and mark a candidate private, so they're only visible to you and the admins on your account. Well, that covers what you'll need to create and publish positions, work with candidates and your hiring team, and get around the pipeline. If you need a hand or more info, just kick off a chat with the Breezy team or take a look at our Help Center at help.breezy.hr.